Hi, my name is Mackenzie, and fun fact about me, this is my third time filming this video. I haven't been super happy with my setup, so I have rearranged my room slightly, not that you can really tell. New room, new me, but third time is the charm. Also, I think I fixed the autofocus on my camera. I'm not sure. Filming from my bedroom can be difficult, but you know what's not difficult? Not being racist. BYU has been in the news for a myriad of reasons, whether it's updating their honor code being more LGBTQ friendly, reversing that update for no reason, adding a Taylor Swift philosophy course, and the viral on-campus interviews with BYU students.
Do you support gay marriage?
Yeah. 100%.
Perfect. That's it.
No.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a feminist, or would you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Dope. That's it. Cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Would you rather drink a cup of coffee or a cup of cooking oil?
Ooh, cooking oil.
Yeah, cooking oil.
Cooking oil.
Coffee.
Yeah, probably coffee.
Coffee.
I guess cooking oil?
Oh golly, probably coffee.
A cup of cooking oil. A cup of cooking oil.
Would you rather have $5 million or 5 minutes with Joseph Smith?
Joseph Smith. I would love to talk to him.
What's the craziest thing that's happened to you at BYU?
I shook a bed for soaking.
For anyone not familiar with Mormonism, these interviews can be shocking and confusing. Why does no one like coffee? What the hell is soaking? And who the fuck is Joseph Smith? I can answer two of those questions, as I don't think YouTube would like me describing what soaking is without me being demonetized. Something else people don't know about is that BYU has 3 campuses. They have BYU Provo, BYU Idaho, and BYU Hawaii. BYU Provo is the main one, where all of those viral videos you've seen on TikTok are filmed, and it's usually where the most controversy originates. The first people to make this interview style content and go viral were the Black Menaces, and I freaking love them. On their website it says, in early February of 2022, 5 friends decided that change needed to happen in order to make their predominantly white institution, Brigham Young University, a safe place for all of its students. We created the Black Menaces to reform systems that oppress anyone that is othered for just being themselves. We are menaces because we seek the uncomfortable for growth and will do what is needed regardless of societal pressure. They have over 700,000 followers, 13 chapters, and 35 coalition members. So they started going viral a few years ago for interviewing BYU students and posting it on the internet. Sounds simple and harmless enough, right? To most normal people, yes. To people with brain worms, no. The BYU administration has been historically hostile towards the Black Menaces for reasons that would be disappointing if the university itself were not named after the biggest racist in Mormon history, Brigham Young. He was a heinous bigot, and I do not feel like repeating the things that he said, but they are things that the LDS Church currently disavows, except they can never disavow the man himself, as that would cause some doctrinal issues for them, like him being just some dude and not anyone that ever could talk to God, other than the God he saw in the mirror every single day. And it wasn't just Brigham Young spewing hate any chance he got, as the church didn't allow Black members to hold the priesthood or go through the temple until the 70s. So for a century and a half, they taught this as doctrine, not just a one-off comment, not just Brigham Young's opinion. It was part of the church's teachings from the top leaders and from scriptures, which I went over in my previous video about the new Book of Mormon movie that came out. And the church just pretends this didn't happen. So because it is completely brushed over and not spoken of, members are left none the wiser, and you're left with this.
Question is, due to the controversy surrounding Brigham Young, the person, should the name of Brigham Young University be changed?
I don't even know what controversy. Probably not though. Okay. I don't even know what controversy though.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know the controversies going on with Brigham Young. I'd say no.
I honestly don't have an opinion.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
have an opinion too.
But you go here?
Yeah, I go here.
She goes here.
I don't know. I don't think anyone knows.
Okay.
Do you?
I don't think it was of God. I think it was a racist policy. So the quote is, "I'm a firm believer in slavery." Now, do you think the Confederate leader Robert E. Lee said it, or the prophet Brigham Young?
I would hope it was the Confederate leader. But I know that it's possible that...
Yeah, it was Brigham Young. He's the one who said that.
I'm gonna go Robert E. Lee. It was Brigham Young.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah.
All right. So, do you think that the priesthood and temple ban was from God?
The what?
The priesthood and temple ban.
What is that?
So from about 1845 to 1978, black members of the church weren't allowed to receive the priesthood or enter the temple.
Ooh, I gotta say I don't think it is.
Yeah, I'd have to do more research on that.
Okay.
To not even know the controversy surrounding Brigham Young as a member of the church is sad. And I'm not just talking about racism, I'm talking about him marrying kids and having kids with said kids. He sucked all around. But unfortunately at their age, I also didn't know these things about Brigham Young because they weren't taught to me. And I was told not to look up anything that wasn't produced directly from the church. And they didn't yet have the gospel topic essays or nearly as much apologetics material available as they do now. And even those are lacking in the truthfulness department. I don't completely blame these young adults. Like I said, I once was them. I blame the institution and religion that refuses to teach them their actual history so that they might know what to say when asked these questions. If they really have the most correct religion on earth, this shouldn't be a problem. You shouldn't have to hide things. So the Black Menaces are exposing racism, homophobia, sexism, and ignorance that is seeped into Mormon culture, stemming from things that leaders and scriptures actually say. And even though these are Mormon beliefs that these students are parroting, BYU is still annoyed for some reason. Why are you mad that your students are repeating things that you taught them? If you don't want them saying stupid shit, stop teaching them stupid shit. The tension between the Black Menaces and BYU came to a head in September of 2023, so a few months ago, when a team member named Sebastian, who is also a co-founder of the Black Menaces, was trying to conduct interviews on campus like he usually does. Then he ran into someone who decided that it was his job to put a stop to it, like an evil Batman, except for instead of fighting crime, he's being racist.
How do you know my name already? Why are you following us?
I just want to get in your videos.
It's kind of weird.
I just want to be in the background.
You want me to ask you a question?
Nah, I'm good.
Hey,
Can I ask how you knew my name already? Did you look me up or?
Yeah, why are you following me around campus? Don't you think that's a little strange?
No.
You think it's normal to follow people?
Yeah, especially you guys.
What about
you
us?
guys are the worst piece of journalism I've ever seen.
And what do you do?
I just am a student.
So nothing extra or productive? Okay. I would mind if you stopped following me. Because it feels very weird. Very, very strange. So I'd appreciate that.
I'm just gonna be in the background of you guys' video.
We're just trying to do an interview.
Okay.
Not disturbing anybody's peace.
You don't want to do anything. You're gonna be viral on TikTok, bro. It's not worth it.
Sweet.
Wait a minute.
What's up?
I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
I love it.
I appreciate
Let's
it.
go.
I would love if you could tell him to stop following me around. He's just terrorizing me at the current moment.
Why?
Because he doesn't like me, apparently.
Oh,
so
it's not cool.
I would tend to agree. Okay. The question is, what do you... Give me 1 second. It's really throwing my brain off.
No, you're good.
No, we're going to stop it there because I can't think of my other question.
This exact same day, Sebastian also had police called on him from a white woman named Karen. I am not making this up.
I started my first interview and this dude is recording me. That's fine. You know what I mean? I figured people take videos and pictures of me relatively frequently, so it honestly didn't faze me. And this white woman who works at BYU starts yelling at me. She told me she's going to call the cops on me because I'm recording TikToks, which she would not do to a white TikToker. I had another dude follow me around for 15 minutes and just like make me feel unsafe, bro. Like, here's the problem. And like, I'm not really a crier. I don't really cry, but this shit genuinely makes me want to cry in the sense that you have made me feel so unsafe that I had to leave campus. Like, I was gonna be at campus till 8 p.m. doing a homework. It's not even 1 p.m. Like, I'm just trying to live my life, do TikTok. Like, I'm not rude to people. I don't post without their permission. I am honest. I am amicable, even if we disagree. And it's like the people I've disagreed the most with have been way more polite. But why do you have the audacity as a white woman to yell at me? Like, what did I do to warrant your yelling? Is my question. And the fact that them both have made me feel so unsafe, and BYU does not give a fuck is even worse. And if you ever wonder why I do what I do, or why Black Menaces exist, or why people do not feel safe at BYU, this is why.
I found her. I found the BYU faculty member who yelled at me, angrily walked up on me, called the cops on me, and told the student to harass me. This is Karen Strange. It's a match. Karen Strange is the executive secretary in the McKay School of Education.
He is stalked, harassed, and has the police called on him for filming videos like he has done for years. And as you can see, he felt very shaken up and very unsafe. And he is completely correct when he says that this kind of thing does not happen to white TikTokers. I will give you -2 seconds to tell me the difference between what Sebastian is doing and what these other guys are doing. That's right, nothing. BYU is just fucking racist. Robert Carpenter is not even a BYU student. He goes to NIU and sneaks onto campus to film these videos. And Daniel Spencer, who is a comedian that I adore and love, is openly gay and has left the church. The Black Menaces are students that attend the university they pay for and are trying to advocate for change. And that is what BYU does not like.
Okay, I brought these two up to make a point. I don't have a problem with either of them doing this on campus. I don't think Daniel Spencer has filmed on campus for a really long time. Robert Carpenter is currently still posting these videos. What they're doing isn't necessarily faith promoting either. Robert is not a member of the church and is pretty openly making fun of Mormon beliefs with his content. Daniel Spencer is also poking fun at Mormon beliefs with his content. We'll talk about BYU's policy later. BYU essentially tries to bring up the point that they teach things contrary to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and like Robert and Daniel don't necessarily do that either. It's just one example of many, which we will get into, of Black Menaces being targeted for things that other people are also doing.
And Jacob Christensen, who is the big fat loser that was stalking Sebastian, is the editor-in-chief for a student-run paper called the Cougar Chronicles.
So that fella, I found him. Well, you found him. Everybody else found him but me, let's be real. This man is a political science major, as am I. But he's also a member and one of the main people and editors in a BYU student-led alt-right newspaper. Here comes the Cougar Chron. Terrible report. I mean, I disagree, so obviously it's terrible to me. They have bad takes like being mad at gender-affirming medical care and a person supporting that, speaking at BYU. But in their official statement, they said that Jacob was encouraged by a faculty member, whether it was the white woman yelling at me or not, I'm not sure, to harass me, to follow me around. So you're telling me a faculty member was really behind the harassment. Cool.
And they decided to make a statement on their Instagram. This week, our editor-in-chief, Jacob Christensen, was featured in videos posted by the Black Menaces. Already I'm pissed because saying he was featured in videos completely diminishes the fact that he literally inserted himself in those videos and would not leave Sebastian alone. He did not go out of his way to find Jacob. Jacob literally went out of his way to bother him. Jacob wanted the attention, and he got it. Once again, they brought their deceptive tactics to BYU by filming on campus without permission from the school, continuing to humiliate and exploit BYU students on their social media. I'm still waiting for them to explain what exactly is deceptive about what the Black Menaces do. I fear I will be waiting forever as they never give an example. And I would love to meet even one person that feels exploited by the Black Menaces that they have interviewed. Seriously, message me, email me. I will be waiting. I am just begging to know what the hell these people are actually talking about, as I don't think they understand what words mean. After a BYU faculty member initially confronted the Black Menaces and threatened to call the police, Jacob was encouraged by the faculty member to interrupt their videos to prevent the continuing harassment of BYU students. Obviously, they had a dictionary that was made special just for them because they don't understand what the word harassment means. It's exactly what Jacob was encouraged by staff to do. Jacob, his pregnant wife, and his fellow classmates have been repeatedly exploited, ridiculed, and physically threatened by the Black Menaces and their followers. Also not what the word exploited means. We will circle back to the physically threatened thing in a little bit. BYU's filming and photography policy states the university does not allow people or businesses to film or photograph on campus and use that media for promotional, marketing, commercial advocacy, or similar purposes. This prohibition includes individuals whose work on YouTube or other digital platforms is aimed at generating income through advertising, music sales, lead generation, or other means. The Black Menaces actively break this policy. Okay, let's take a break. First of all, this post got absolutely ratioed in the comments. Slaughtered. Bloodbath. This comment says, it's not illegal, it's not against BYU policy, it has to be for monetary gain, everyone interviewed is asked for permission to publish after being asked questions, you're an American publication advocating for censorship of those you don't like. That's it. It got over 1,200 likes on a 360 like post. It got ratioed 3 times. Damn. This comment says, this post is very disturbing. I've seen multiple content creators on social media interview BYU students, yet the single group you decide to go after is the Black Menaces. Yikes. The only BYU student humiliating themselves on the Black Menaces videos is Jacob for harassing other BYU students. And this is what I want to talk about. The Black Menaces are far from the only people to be doing this on campus. So if they are going to crack down on policy, they're going to have to go after the other social media influencers that do the exact same thing. But these attacks do not happen to other influencers who posted to TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and are definitely also making money from their content. BYU is trying to combat conversations about racism by being racist. It's like a fucking SNL skit. It's just so on the nose and predictable. So they're not actually mad that they could be making money from their content as other people also do, and they don't throw a fit about it. Their next sentence tells us what they're actually upset about, which is they advocate teachings contrary to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Notice they didn't say contrary to the teachings of Jesus Christ because that would be lying. Unfortunately, they are not wrong, as historically the LDS Church does not like people advocating for political or social change that the church doesn't agree with, even though they keep telling people that they don't involve themselves in politics when we all know they're full of shit. They literally thought that the civil rights movement was evil and pro-communist. They literally aligned themselves with Yazis. The Mormon church is always on the wrong side of history because they don't have the gift of foresight or revelation, and it is run by a bunch of old racist white dudes. So advocacy in general for stuff that the church will later down the line say that they've never had a problem with is definitely discouraged. As far as what the Black Menaces actually advocate for, on their website it says, we educate the mass public on social and institutional issues that affect those of marginalized communities. We seek to make all necessary changes to ensure the mental, emotional, and physical safety of every person of a marginalized community, period. And it's ironic that a faculty member decided to ensure that Sebastian's emotional, mental, and physical well-being were at risk that day by calling the fucking police. Even if what they are doing is against policy, which said policies are not enforced, except when it comes to the Black Menaces, what they are doing is absolutely not illegal. It is free speech. They get consent, they ask questions, and they don't even debate people. They are very kind and they thank them for their time, and that's it. Advocating for marginalized communities and equality and speaking out against oppressors is something that Jesus Christ was actually known for, but the church that claims to represent him is not. And that's what this is really about. The predominantly white institution of BYU is uncomfortable that their Black students are pointing out the discrimination discrimination that they receive on a daily basis, on the largest platform that exists, no less, which is the internet. So instead of just admitting that changes need to be made or apologizing, which is something the church has never done and will never do, they get butthurt and try to silence them. The Cougar Chronicles says, as such, we find it necessary to push back against their activism. And in their caption, it says, if you are a BYU student and wish to help push back against the Black Menaces presence on campus, DM us. I just can't believe they saw what happened to Sebastian and thought, yeah, we're gonna do that again. We're gonna do more of that. You think you're gonna recruit more people to harass the Black Menaces and try to prevent them from using their freedom of speech, but you can go around spewing your bullshit opinions in your bullshit newspaper. I took a gander at their newspaper and they have stuff like Woke Wednesday, where they try to debunk stuff like microaggressions. They think they're not real and that people are making them up. Does it hurt to be that stupid? I'm just wondering. It's a completely opinion-based newspaper with no evidence or facts to defend their delusional arguments. And it's not unnoticed that they are using police siren emojis. Like, this is scary, and the BYU administration should definitely be looking into this. They say they have no affiliation with BYU, but it's run by students. Why the fuck are they trying to recruit more people to physically harass people on campus? Jacob Christensen, instead of using his stupid-ass newspaper or making his own videos to speak out against the Black Menaces, decided to physically intimidate Sebastian in person. If you feel the need to threaten someone into silence, your arguments probably aren't very good, Boo-Boo Bear. Maybe you need to work on that. The final point that the Cougar Chronicles try to make is that after this incident, that Jacob was physically threatened by both the Black Menaces and their followers. Sebastian at no point threatened violence or pushed back in any way towards Jacob. He diffused the situation and ignored him. Sebastian was in a lose-lose situation. He's not allowed to react in the way that a white person is allowed to react. If you are following me around in a public space and I've told you continuously to leave me alone and that I feel unsafe, you're getting the pepper spray. Straight up. Jacob was not there to have a conversation. He did not come in peace to try to talk to Sebastian. So someone suggesting that he get punched in the face is not the gotcha that you think it is. And I didn't see any comments threatening his pregnant wife either. I saw one comment tagging her because she was in part of the video apparently, which again, Jacob inserted himself into the video. I think if Sebastian was feeling physically unsafe, he had every right to defend himself physically, but he didn't do that. Sebastian was terrified after this encounter with both Jacob and Karen. To suggest that the Black Menaces are inciting violence is so fucking disgusting and racist. If Jacob was going around interviewing students and Sebastian was the one following him around and getting in his personal space, oh my gosh, you can bet your ass that situation would have been escalated and Sebastian would have been seen as the aggressor and they would have been looking at that situation a whole lot differently.
Okay, I completely forgot about this update that happened a week after the incident. Sebastian was also receiving threats, not of being punched in the face, but of death. I am not condoning physical violence, but they are absolute hypocrites for calling it out only when it happens to them. Please watch this video and you'll see what I mean.
So if you remember this goofy boy following me, then you're in the right place. Last week I was harassed, and there's a new update. I feel like the most important one so far. Earlier this week I got a phone call at midnight. My phone is chronically on Do Not Disturb, but here's the call.
You ruffled the wrong feathers, bro. You ruffled the wrong feathers. It's happening. The brethren know you're done.
So as you could imagine, after being harassed on campus, this phone call was a little uncomfortable. I live in a very red state with very open rules and laws on guns. So slightly nervous. And in this uncomfortability, I went to sleep and woke up the next day to this email. This first part's really important. So you call yourselves the Black Menaces. Yes. You push the idea of revolution. You do, of course, realize when all politically and ideologically driven revolutions have occurred, people die. I think that's just a strange thing to bring up. Violence becomes the driving force and people die. Are you insulted to spread me over national media? That'd be fun. I served in 2 conflicts. Here's my thing. The phone call telling me I'm ruffling feathers. Then this email saying people die in revolutions and that this person served in 2 major conflicts. I wouldn't say it's giving comfortable. I would say it's giving threatening. So yeah.
Another person with the newspaper Cougar Chronicles is Tori Kimball, who made a video doubling down on their original statement that we already went through, and she added some more bad takes of her own.
The whole point of the Black Menace group is to catch BYU students in traps and show that there's bias or racism at BYU's campus.
She says the words bias or racism like they're the boogeyman or Santa Claus. Bias, racism, global warming, French people. Those things aren't real. The privilege is reeking through my screen watching this. If these videos weren't showing any bias or racism, they wouldn't be up in arms about it. What are you so mad about? BYU is full of sensitive ass baby clowns who cannot handle any wrongdoing pointed out. Mormons have the fullness of the gospel, which means that no further improvement or edits are to be made, even though they are made all the time because the church is constantly changing and eventually catches up with the rest of the world, and then they one day disavow their bigoted teachings. The last thing I wanted to talk about was an incident on the BYU Hawaii campus, and I'm gonna let the Black Menaces explain it as they can do a much better job than I could.
This is Canaan, and BYU Hawaii is trying to kick him out for celebrating his culture. Let's get into it. Canaan has been at BYU Hawaii since fall of 2023, and he has never caused any issues, never broken any rules. He's a good student, and he's a returned missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In spite of all of this, Canaan's enrollment is still under threat because of the color of his skin and because of his desire to celebrate his heritage as an Afro-Guyanese man. Now, before we get into the story, you should know that BYU has what's called an honor code, which is basically a code of morals or ethics that students are expected to follow in order to remain students at the university. This includes no smoking, no drinking, no tattoos, no coffee, and no sex before marriage. BYU dorms have chaperones who enforce curfew and visitor rules for residents. Canaan had been living in one of these dorms for a few months when he was approached by a chaperone and made to produce his student ID in order to prove that he was a student at the university. This is a classic example of racial profiling because your average white student at BYU is not going to have to prove that they're a student of the university, especially if they're on their way to their dorm room. The chaperone then told him that he needed to cut all of his locks off in order to adhere to BYU rules. There's no rule that prohibits having locks, and when Canaan refused this, he was reported to administration. Since then, BYU Hawaii administration has been trying to quietly force Canaan to cut his locks in order to conform to these unwritten rules that apply to black students at BYU. Canaan spoke with people in the Honor Code office and the Vice President of Student Life at BYU Hawaii, and they told him that he had to comply because they were entitled to have these rules, and that it would be unfair to other students who couldn't have long hair. Here are the actual dress and grooming standards taken directly from BYU Hawaii's website. For grooming, it says that hair should be neat, clean, modest, and avoid extremes in styles and colors. Men's hair should be neatly trimmed. Men should be clean shaven. If worn, mustaches should be neatly trimmed. Canaan visits a loctician monthly to keep his locks neat and clean, and he visits a barber twice a month in order to make sure that he is well groomed at all times. He is 100% within his rights to keep his locks, and administration knows this. That's why they've been using some pretty shady tactics to try and get him to cut his hair. At first, he was told that his appearance was a distraction, but then they dialed it back and said it was just the length that was the problem, and that was distracting students. Canaan suggested that if his hair was the distraction, he could cover it. That was rejected. He also suggested that he could wear his hair up or that he could cut 2 inches off of the ends. And both of those ideas were rejected as well, and they insist that he needs to cut all of his hair off. Now, BYU Hawaii is far more diverse than its mainland counterparts, BYU Idaho and BYU Provo, and they celebrate culture a lot more readily there than they would at these other universities. There's even an entire cultural center paid for by the LDS Church that highlights and celebrates Polynesian culture, even though there are technically aspects of that culture that do not adhere to written rules of the church, like tribal tattoos. Now, I want to iterate that what someone wants to do with their body should not be a church's business, and I think that is a wonderful part of Polynesian culture that they have tribal tattoos, but technically it is against the rules of the church. Here's a photo taken directly from the church's website that talks about how tattoos are discouraged by prophets. When Canaan pointed out that his locks were a representation of his culture as an Afro-Guyanese man, he was told that they had been patient with him up to this point, but now he was trying to push his own agenda and be defiant. This is the Vice President of Student Life at BYU Hawaii. His name is Jonathan Kalaonalani Kao, and he has some crazy stuff to say about this situation. To kick it off, he told Canaan that dress and grooming standards at the university needed to be adhered to regardless of culture. When Canaan pointed out the obvious double standard here, then he was told that the appearance standards would be more strict depending on someone's genetics. That's crazy. I'm not even sure if that qualifies as a dog whistle because it's so blatant, but if it is a dog whistle, that's a Saint Bernard, Great Dane, Irish Wolfhound type of whistle. That's a wolf whistle at this point. To say that rules apply to people differently based on their genetics, and you're talking to a black man? Come on, Jonathan. Finally, that vice president told Kanan that he would not be allowed to remain a part of the BYU Hawaii community unless he cut all of his hair off. Keep in mind that there is no written rule against having locks or long hair. This is a clear example of a religious university using its power and privatized status to discriminate against people with certain genetics.
So Polynesians are allowed to celebrate their culture through tattoos, which are against the honor code, but Kanan is not allowed to celebrate his culture through his hair. That is supposedly against the honor code, except it's not actually explicitly in there either. And then the vice president doubles down and says it's due to genetics. Ugh. I actually have no commentary on that other than it's so fucked up. It's hypocritical and racist. Long hair is not a distraction, or else girls wouldn't be allowed to have long hair. Why can't boys have long hair? You know what's a distraction? When y'all white people get orange spray tans. Stop it. Make fake tans against the honor code. I'm starting a movement, but BYU tries to whitewash all of their students and make rules that are only enforced against people of color. The honor code follows a Western European bullshit standard that doesn't allow anyone to be unique or celebrate their heritage. I'm sweating, I'm so angry. Thanks for watching. Please argue with me in the comments. If you see me in public and start to follow me around, I will karate chop you in the throat. I don't have Rexy and Trixie with me. Say goodbye to Jenny, whose wand broke. Bye.